The information that I am providing today is coming from higher dimensional consciousnesses.
Things got so weird during 2020, and it wasn't just the QAnon conspiracy theorists. This New Age channel told us
Donald Trump is a massive and powerful light worker.
a light worker. And then what about this Oprah-endorsed, best-selling feminist health icon talking about heavy metals
that are in vaccines that make our bodies literally into an antenna with 5G.
As we continued studying what we now call conspirituality, it only got more intense.
This is the cult of Baphomet. This is Molokite worshipping stuff. It gets very gory in the basement.
And it culminated with that shaman dude showing up at the Capitol insurrection. But it didn't stop there. Every week on Conspirituality Podcast, we track the overlaps between New Age spirituality and far-right conspiracy cults.
Hi, I'm Jerry Colbert, co-creator of the hit science shows Brain Games and Brainchild. I'm here to tell you about my new podcast, Who Smarted, which gives listeners a big whiff of science and history while making learning funny for kids and families. With 3 15-minute episodes a week on lots of cool topics, Who Smarted is perfect for car rides, bedtime, homeschooling, and classrooms. If you love laughing and learning, check out Who Smarted wherever you get podcasts or at whosmarted.com.
Hello and welcome to your pet rodent's favorite podcast, the Tennis Podcast, brought to you by Glassbox Media. Every week, me and my rotating panel of guest sidekick hosts guess each other's top tennis lists in real time, along with fun facts, trivia, and hot takes. But joining me today is a cold take, an ice cold take, but a cold take with a burning hot butt, and that is Dr. Buster.
A cold take. I don't know what to make of that.
The coldest I've ever seen.
So that means that everything that I say is extremely palatable, right? Because a hot take is something that might offend you. But I'm the least offensive person you know because I am that happy, likable, and well-rounded and respected. As your host of the Tennis Podcast. Thank you, Nick, for introducing me.
Full of yourself much? Jesus. Dr. Buster, this is episode number 214, and you have a list for me to guess. One would hope. But before you tell me that list, what's the latest movie you watched? Nothing on Pornhub, please. Just like actual cinematic Hollywood production.
Well, there's that Twitter that tracks Elon Musk's private jet. My favorite movie is just putting up on our TV each night a tracker of where you and your family members have all been going. All of them. Extended family. I mean, there's about 60 people on the registry now.
Wow. Okay.
And my wife and I, we just sit there, we eat our dinner, and we watch it. And that's really become our new favorite show.
What's the end goal there? You just like seeing
Nick,
the
not everything we do in life
jet
is
move
for the
across
very
the
end of
lines,
it. Some of us like to enjoy the journey. We enjoy things in the moment. So I really just enjoy every evening we get to spend thinking about you and everyone in your life.
And my extended family. You said 60 people. I don't think I could name more than 12 family members. So these are all people that...
Well, I've got the other 38 here on the line. We're actually going to have an intervention today so that you can get to learn your family members. They think that you've been a little standoffish and rude over the years. So we've come to bring that all
fucking
together.
Kill me. This is hell. This would be my hell. Meeting family members I've never met. Oh, fuck me. But it's funny that you watch my family members on your TV at home with your wife at dinner because I just have your family members over here for dinner, especially your mom.
Okay.
Your mom and I have gotten real close.
Well, that's good. Not too close, though. You might run into one of the list items here we have today.
Uh-oh. That sounds like a Segway. Tell me this delicious, mama-licious
Speaking
list.
of Segways, why do you think the Segway, the tech item, failed so hard and so fast for people?
Did it fail? I still see those when I'm like...
Yeah, reserved for who? Part-time mall cops? Who uses a Segway?
I've seen them on like those tours. Like you can do a Segway tour through the city in some places and shit.
Are those just for people who can't
go outside
walk a couple of blocks by themselves unassisted?
Wow, Buster, you are dropping hot takes after all on everyone who's ever ridden a Segway.
Have you rode a Segway?
No. But I don't look down on the people that do.
I'd rather take the Little Rascal scooter that one might find at a Target or a Walmart than be caught on a Segway.
Why? You think you're better than the Segway riders?
Just how they look, how people look on the Segway when they're about to start making forward motion and they just lean forward and that's it's a stood up position. It just
Yeah, that's a lot worse than sitting your fat ass in a scooter at a rascal scooter. But I think like if we could go 10 years in the future, we'll see news headlines about a new Holocaust, but it's targeting Segway riders around the world, putting them in concentration camps.
there's less than 500 of them on the whole planet, so it's gonna be a pretty short film.
I didn't say a film. It's going to be a fucking mass execution a genocide because you hate Segway riders so much, which is wrong. I love them. And every Segway riding listener, you might even be listening to us right now on your Segway. I want to thank you for listening to this show. God bless you. God bless America.
Well, that's the first perk you get for signing up to be a 10ish Pod Plus member. You get a 10ish branded yellow and black Segway sent to your house. Because I have one, and you said that we all got that.
Well, that's only... I don't know.
Or is that just for your favorite sidekick host? Am I not supposed to say this on the air?
Yeah, you weren't. But now that it's out, if you want your yellow and black Segway, sign up for your $2 10ish Pod Plus membership. And yes, you'll get a $600 Segway sent to your house.
Listen, your tax guy for this podcast must do wonders. The eighth wonder of the world. I don't know how I don't know how this podcast is in the black.
We don't got time for tax guys. If you're a fucking tax guy out there, fucking unsubscribe. We don't got time for your shit.
Speaking of tax guys, I hope mine never ends up in prison because that guy works some voodoo magic and we get back a good amount of money each year. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm not asking questions.
Well, that's funny because if you get audited or in trouble with the IRS, it's not that guy they're going to go talk to. It's you. So...
Well, Nick, I do think that's about all the time we have today. This has been a good episode. I think it's time that I get on the road.
Good episode is a stretch, but I get the sentiment of your
short and sweet, to the point, one might say.
Yeah. Why don't you short and sweet your ass to the point of the list? What is it? What am I guessing today?
All right, I'll be short and sweet. Nick.
Top 10 Segways?
Top 10? Well, wait. Is Segway the brand or the device?
Don't know.
Maybe it's both.
I guess we're going to find out. Could be.
Because I was going to say, it's the top 10 brands of Segway, but that wouldn't make sense if Segway's the only one.
And the word Segway definitely was invented long before the tech item, yeah?
Sure. But it's funny because that's why it's named that. It helps you get from one thing to the next.
Yeah, but so does a car. We don't call the cars a Segway.
Well, and whose fault is that?
I don't know.
Am I right?
I don't know who made up all these words. I do think it's interesting to think that, I mean, I'm no language specialist. It might be shocking to hear, but like how...
That's for damn sure.
Hey, I'll admit it, but like how words were invented and created and agreed upon and written down somewhere. Because you know these words were invented long before like modern communication, maybe even before paper or written word, I don't know. But like the fact that some caveman somewhere was sitting on one corner of the region and he makes up these words and then it becomes the words for the whole region. I don't know.
Yep.
What I'm saying is aliens definitely taught us our languages.
A book I recently read was a rendition from Stephen Fry, a retelling of a lot of the classic Greek myths. And going through all those stories, realizing the origin of so many words we use today, traced all the way back to like 1000 BC. We still use the same exact word, or words that are very similar to the Greek and Latin origin. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So that's why we're doing the top 10 Greek and Latin philosophers today, yes?
Close. So instead, I have the top 20. Now, top 20 of what, you might ask? Now, Nick, has anyone...
What is it, Buster? What is the top 20 of?
You're about to get on my last nerve with all these questions. Nick, would anyone ever accuse you of being annoying? That's a rhetorical question. Now, when someone finds a person or a particular thing very annoying, what might we call that?
A pet peeve.
Ooh, a pet peeve. Ding, ding, ding. Talk about interesting turn of phrase. So today, we're going to talk about...
Do you know how fucking annoyed all the listeners are? Because they know the topic as soon as they see the episode in their feed. They don't... So they're just waiting for you to fucking get to it. And you just got to drag it out. Yes, we're doing the top 10 pet peeves, yeah?
Yes, so I have in front of me the top 20 pet peeves according
Okay, top
to
20.
a study first published in the Journal of Social Psychology, which eventually ended up being housed in the National Institute of Health. 5,500 people were surveyed. It was an open-ended survey, so there wasn't a list of items. You said, yes, this annoys me. No, this doesn't. It was open-ended, so people had to bring it up in conversation. So for these things to become top 20 means a lot of people had these in common.
A lot of people independently bringing them up without prompt.
Correct. So they thematically analyzed all the details. They brought them together. They compiled some of the things that had similar phrasing or constructs, and they put together some professional and personal aspects. So if people said this about, a significant other, but the same exact thing about a coworker, they found a way to put them together to make these general items.
What is the source of this? You said it, but I want to hear it again.
It was first published in the Journal of Social Psychology, now housed in the National Institute of Health.
So social psychology, what you really mean is devil worship, right?
Correct.
Okay.
The Oxford Dictionary defines a pet peeve as, quote, something that a particular person finds especially annoying. From Wikipedia, the noun peeve, meaning an annoyance, is believed to have originated in the United States early in the 20th century, derived by back formation from the adjective peevish, meaning, quote,
Oh, baby. Peevish. Buster, let me see your peevish.
my peevish is standing on end right now, just reading this. And that means, quote, ornery or ill-tempered, which dates from the 14th century. The more you know.
Okay.
And last bit of note here, the term pet peeve was first introduced to a wide readership in the single panic comic strip, The Little Pet Peeve, in the Chicago Tribune during the period of 1916 to 1920. It was a king who, in each weekly issue, regarded his little pet peeves with humorous critiques of generally thoughtless behaviors.
That's interesting. And it's also funny to think, like, this was back in the time, 1916 to 1920, when, people are still shitting in the streets. Where's Alex Johns when you need him? But this was their entertainment. Reading and looking at the newspaper. Other than that, it was just beating their kids and working in the field. I mean, I don't know what else they did, but...
Or just trying not to die.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to be anything but absolutely miserable at all times.
I can relate to those people right now.
But still interestingly, to me, is a one-panel comic strip in a paper is just like us browsing Twitter for memes. I mean, it kind of gets to the same thing, but just with the internet, you get to see a lot more of them in a quicker succession.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's like a old style meme. Now,
oh yeah, thank you
what
for
year was
repeating
this?
exactly what I just said.
Hey,
I'm gonna add that to my pet peeve list. God, being on a podcast with you, I should have brought the top 200. Then we could talk about all of them that you do.
I just want the folks to like snapshot this moment in their mind. When people say I'm the mean one on this show, Dr. Buster is fucking savage tonight.
Here's why it is, folks. I was on a 3.5-hour flight yesterday, and I listened to 2 episodes of the Tinish podcast, in which I had to suffer along with you, the listener, as Nick just tarnished the reputation and the mental health and stability of various sidekick hosts.
Is that right? That's bullshit. I'm very good in accommodating to every sidekick host. Except sidekick hosts that try to usurp the host and claim the show as their own. Those sidekick hosts, of which there's only one, can get a little less nice side of me.
Interesting. I don't know who that would be.
My very question was, sir, what year was this survey done by the Journal of Social Psychology?
It is a little outdated. It is 2014 is the most recent thing I could find that wasn't like, here's 20 things that we think were annoying because we write a blog that 10 people read.
10 people. Wow. Another hot take. But it's funny because this is episode 214, and you brought me a survey from the year 2014. This is how I know God's real. He works in mysterious ways.
Folks, there is no such thing as coincidence, only the illusion thereof. If you need any reason to think that there is a divine presence in this episode, look no further.
Yes. Don't we all? All right. The top 20, though. Okay.
That reminds me. I recently met the grandmother of an acquaintance at a coffee shop, and she showed me a picture of herself that was taken by a family member while she was fishing. And because of the way the photo came out when it was processed, there was a little white aura around her. And she looked at me with glasses that like accentuated the size of her eyes. And she said, "That young man, that's how I know God exists. He's with me at all times." That's a true story.
But first you're shitting on the Segway people. Now you're shitting on your friend's grandma, who could be listening for all you know.
Well, it's not the first time I shit on her, so.
Oh, me. Do you make a habit out of shitting on grandmothers, or is it that specific grandmother that you have an ongoing thing with?
I tend to be 55 plus.
Okay. Not the first time I shit on her. Okay. Well, I don't know where to go from here. Okay. Well, you're the host today. So take us home here. Get us back on track.
One extra tidbit from the authors of this article before we jump in. In addition to gathering information about people's pet peeves, they also asked them questions about how happy they tend to be and how mindful they were. Not sure exactly what questions they asked to get that info, but they found, in general, the more mindful a person becomes, the less likely they are to commit another person's pet peeve. People who tend to be happier are also found to be less annoying to others because those people who tend to be more mindful of themselves and their surroundings tend to be happier and therefore tend to be less annoying.
So happy people are less annoying. Is that what I'm hearing?
Essentially, yeah, because it's just correlated with being mindful. And those who are mindful are the ones who are actually less annoying.
But can you and I agree that in reality, those who are mindful and happy are really just stuck up and full of themselves, right?
They might be annoying in their own regard because every time you interact with them, you're like, you're being fake, bitch. Because I know you're not that happy all the time.
You're being fake. Yeah. Preach it, brother.
All right. We got the top 20 here. And I don't have any other notes besides some personal stories and anecdotes.
How many of those personal stories involve you shitting on random senior citizens around the country?
Well, they're never random. They are extremely targeted. They're the people that I find myself for some reason drawn to. And I mean painfully drawn to.
You're like Dexter, except with shit.
I meet them in life and they become my obsession. And I know that soon, sometimes.
Okay. Just stop. Just fucking stop. We get it. All right. I'll tell you one of my biggest pet peeves. I'll bet it's in the top 20, but not the top 10. And that's biting fingernails.
Not on the top 20.
If you bite fingernails, hit that unsubscribe button. Actually, don't, because that would lose like everybody, because almost everybody bites their nails. How about slurping?
Slurping. Interesting. Making
like
it...
slurping soup or slurping coffee or something.
Okay. Not on the list, but there's several things in that ballpark. What are other ways people can make a lot of noise when they're consuming things?
Chewing with their mouth open.
Chewing with the mouth open or smacking. Multiple times in my life, I have noticed the way older folks will smack their lips when they eat because Brandon mentioned it on the Tennis Pod.
He did. Brandon had I'd call it a phobia almost of old people mouths. He really disliked old people mouths. I find them sexy, but...
Does it bother you when people chew with their mouth open?
It bothers me, but maybe just because I'm around my fucking Neanderthal children so much that eat with their mouths open, I'm kind of used to it. But if I see an adult chewing with their mouth open, I'm judging them for sure.
I don't think I see it very much, come to think of it.
I don't either. I don't think I do either. But when I do, it stands out, right?
Yeah, it looks like a side-loading dryer of clothes. Every time they open their mouths, you just see everything like sloshing around inside in a circular motion.
Oh, I see
kind of
what
like
you
the
mean.
dryer.
Yeah, that's true.
Like when all your socks and undies go tumbling around.
What number did you say this was?
That's number 16.
Knew it.
Sweet 16.
Your socks and undies go tumbling around, he said. So, Buster, when you are eating hot dogs over airport trash cans, since you're inspired so much by my original sidekick host, Brandon, that we just mentioned, are you smacking and chewing with your mouth open while doing so?
The only thing that's smacking is my booty cheeks because I'm so excited to be devouring a hot dog. Now, if you will, why don't you smack us into another guess?
Is booty clapping on the list?
That would be top 20 favorite things that they've ever
Yeah.
seen anyone do in their whole life. It wouldn't be a pet peeve, so not on the list.
I'm serious when I say this, but we should do top fetishes at some point.
That'd be a good list.
Is there anything booty related in the top 20?
Yes. Things that might splatter out of some booties.
Said in the fucking worst way possible. Splatter out. Okay, what could that be? I don't know.
I know that, like you,
Shit on public toilets? I don't know.
what do people do with public toilets that's super annoying?
They don't flush.
They don't flush, or they're messy. So coming in at number 6, a messy or unflushed toilet.
That should be number 1, really.
PSA, folks, is it really that hard after taking a Paul Bunyan log-sized shit and then using a half a mile of toilet paper and smearing it literally over just about everything you can in the stall? Can you really not bring yourself to after that to just flush the toilet? It is such a disgrace when you go into a public men's bathroom, especially like a department store, and the harangue, like people should get arrested for what they do in there. It's disgusting.
Well, not only that, but I'm a bit of a germaphobe anyway, but even if I wasn't, like, going to public restrooms, because not only that, but in men's public bathrooms, there is piss everywhere all the time. You can't step in there without stepping in piss. It's brutal.
If you A, need to take a shit, or B, are hungry and you're trying to eat less in life, just walk in, take a look at every stall in a men's bathroom, and you'll be cured. You won't want to eat for a while, and you certainly won't have to shit anymore, because you're going to suck that deep back into your stomach, and you're going to hold it for at least another day.
Your theory is that the listeners should go into a public men's bathroom, look at the unflushed toilets, and that will make them suck their own shit back inside of themselves for a day. And they want to do this. Why?
Because you don't want to have to shit in public.
Okay, all right.
Dude, if it's me, and I'm like, if I could just make it to the bathroom, like, nature's calling, you're not going to let it leave a voicemail. You go into the bathroom, I open the stall. If I see the carnage in there, it goes right away, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'll wait. I can wait till we get home, because I'm not going in there.
Yeah. It's really bad. All right. Well, that is a valid pet peeve. I'm surprised it's not higher.
Do you love 80s and 90s music?
You freaking should.
Yeah, because if not, you have issues. But if you do, then boy, do we have the podcast for you.
The Mixtape.
Yes, Matt, the Mixtape, where we chat about, 80s and 90s music mostly.
Yeah, we sprinkle some other stuff in there too, though. A smattering of 70s and early 2000s.
Throw in celebrity interviews, a lot of immature humor, and some actual content, and you have a hell of a good time.
We do have a good time, don't we?
Yes, we do. Check us out. Spotify, Pandora, Apple, iHeart, pretty much all the places you find podcasts. You can search for us, The Mixtape Podcast. That's 4 words. Find us, listen, subscribe, share, and stay awesome.
Hello, listener. It's time for a fresh break to tell you about our new partner, HelloFresh. HelloFresh takes the hassle out of mealtime this spring by delivering pre-portioned ingredients and easy-to-prepare recipes right to your door. Even better, you can skip the checkout lines because HelloFresh has dinner covered. No worries if you're not a pro in the kitchen. HelloFresh's foolproof recipes arrive pre-portioned and easy to prepare in just a few steps. Trust me, if I can do it, anyone can. Even Dr. Buster, probably. HelloFresh's recipes are also fun to make. My kids love helping me bring these recipes to life in the kitchen. It's become a real bonding experience for us. Better yet, the recipes are so easy I know even my kids can't screw them up. Now it's time for you to experience HelloFresh for yourself. And just like the recipes, we're going to make it easy for you. Just go to hellofresh.com/tennish50 and use code tennish50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. Again, that's hellofresh.com/10ish50 and use the promo code tennish50 50 for 50% off and free shipping on your first box. Just check the show notes for a direct link, and you'll quickly see why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
All right, Guardians. On May 5th. Let's give the galaxy one more show. I'm Groot. No, not like that. Get hooked. On a feeling.
May as well have a little fun, huh?
All over again. I am Groot. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
People on Earth die when they're like 50.
Are you about to die?
I'm not 50.
Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. May 5th. Get tickets now.
So what about, this is my pet peeve, although I don't know if this is very common, but I really hate a sink full of dishes. I need that dish in the dishwasher. Or if you don't have a dishwasher, then clean it and get it out of the sink.
Yeah, nothing with dishes in the top 20. Although something very close, I'll go ahead and give it to you. People also don't want to do it in the moment, so it piles up, and that is coming in at number 5, not taking
Laundry.
out the trash.
Oh, the trash, okay. That's a huge one for me. Anything like that, trash, laundry, dishes, I don't like things piling up. You know, I like to keep them at a reasonable level.
Now, a little confession out there for all you 10-ish listeners. I'm kind of bad at this one.
Buster.
I'm that person who there's like an inch left in the trash can, and I think, well, I don't want to take it out. So I just
It takes
drop
5
the
seconds.
trash.
I mean, I guess it depends on your living situation. But for most people, it takes 5 seconds. You just take it to the end of the street or the end of the hall or whatever. But Buster's too lazy.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where I will cram a lot into a trash can before I'll pull it out and bag it.
Apparently, you'll cram your own shit back up into your stomach a lot, too.
Well, my body does that for me because ghastly situations in bathrooms. Those are the only household task related things.
How about humming? Like humming in public or something like that?
No humming. There are a couple more food related things.
Before I get to food, I'm going to guess this one, which is talking in public on the phone on speakerphone.
Ooh, you got it. Number 10, talking loudly on the phone.
Fuck everyone who does this.
I mentioned I was on a plane flight. Just yesterday, mind you, there was a businessman sitting behind me, going on and on and on and on and on about this coworker that he thought was annoying and underperforming, and he's talking loudly enough that everybody on the plane can hear him. And I just think, never in my wildest dreams would I do that.
Well, if anyone's having wild dreams about talking loudly on the phone, then I would question your dreams, but I get what you mean. Yes, I would never do that either. I think it's extremely inconsiderate and rude, and also unprofessional.
Like, do people like that, do they realize everyone around them hears and they just don't care? Or do they think that magically nobody can hear what they're saying and that they're not being subjected to every word he's saying?
I think it's the former. They don't care. It doesn't even cross their mind.
Another pet peeve that's related to this, it's not on the list, but when people listen to music loudly on their phone and such, and they're just like walking around Target or whatever, I'm like,
oh, I fucking hate that.
Hello, headphones.
Just put your earphones in, yes. And that's another pet peeve of mine is like when you're, and some of the shit our listeners are doing and we're pissing them off, but fuck it.
Hey, I confess when I did my own.
When you're driving and the car pulls up next to you at a red light and their windows are down and the music is like so loud they can hear it and the next day. Yeah, it's like, why? Well, I don't get it. But maybe I'm just an old man.
When people are listening to music in public, I just want to come up, touch them gently on the elbow and say, thank you. I really was thinking I'd rather listen to the music that I enjoyed today, but I'm really, really grateful I stumbled across you today in this Costco, and now I had to listen to your piece of shit music, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's almost always shitty music, too.
Oh, it's the worst, because it's the people are the worst, and yeah.
You could just stop there. People are the worst. That's a singular sentence that holds true in any context. What number was the, or maybe this wasn't even on here, but listening to music without earphones, was that on here?
That wasn't. I just tacked that on to talking loudly on the phone, which is number 10.
Okay, so basically you don't know how to stay organized on your own top 20 list.
That'd be you, who's taking a doctoral length of notes on each of these, even though it's like 3 words. So,
wow.
you know.
Okay. You're right. The episode should just be 8 minutes long and we can go home.
Let's go back to food.
Food.
These are mainly on the bottom half of the list.
Not offering, or okay, how about eating before the whole table has their food?
I like that. It's
like
not on
it.
the list,
Mhm.
but it's close to another thing. I'm trying to find what number it is here. Number 13. Coming in at 13, taking food without permission.
I knew it.
Now, you and
This
I...
is the Dr. Buster specialty right here.
Okay, first, fake news. You knew my rule in high school. I will admit that I don't mind finishing up a scrumptious meal after somebody else has had it, or maybe if they're not going to finish it. I used to be less of a germaphobe than I am now. Now I would never do that.
Pause there. Is that true? You wouldn't do that now?
No, I won't eat or drink after people now.
I don't eat or drink after people, and I've always been that way. But back in high school, and I thought, definitely beyond high school, but maybe not now. But Buster, like if you're sitting in a restaurant eating food, and all that's left on your plate is like the saliva-laden, last eighth of a burrito, or like it's unappetizing to look at. It's like just the remnants of food left on your plate, and you're thinking, oh, this is gone, I'm done, no one's going to want this, and you push it to the side of the table to let the waiter take a Buster say, well, you're not going to eat the rest of that?
Now,
hand in the
hold
plate
on.
and he'll eat every last bite. Doesn't matter whose mouth has been on it.
It's funny, I wrote this down as an anecdote. You knew my rule back then in high school. Many eons ago, I had a 3 times rule. People would offer it. I'd say, no, I'm good. People would offer it again. Oh, do you want some of my Raisinets? I'm not going to finish them. No, I'm good. But if people pushed me to the 3rd time, I'll always say yes.
And Buster, that only happened because every single one of your friends knew that Buster was the vacuum that would get rid of all the food at the end of every meal.
We got one more related to food. It has to do with cooking.
Not cleaning up after you cook?
Okay.
Not offering to help clean up after you cook?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that you're going to get this one necessarily. Sometimes people will cook something that smells particularly bad. Cooking smelly food is number 15.
Wait, are we talking about the bathroom again? That's 15?
Indeed.
I knew it.
Now, I would never bring this up in conversation without being provoked because I don't feel like happens that often.
No. This isn't a thing.
Who's living with someone who's like slow roasting sardines on a daily basis or something? I don't.
Yeah, pet peeve is something that should happen frequently, right? It's like a constant, common annoyance.
Now,
so I don't know.
This could be people who are very particular. So like maybe they think that bacon smells bad, or hamburger. They think that, something simple like broccoli. When you cook broccoli, it smells bad or whatever. Well, that is true, actually. I've walked in our house after cooking broccoli, like a few hours later, and I'm like, oh, it smells like green bunch of ass in here.
Green bunch. It smells like the green giant walked through and took a shit on someone's grandma in here.
It smells like the green giant pulled off the roof of my house for just a moment and bent over and he just and then puts the roof back on the house and then walks away.
Is he chuckling to himself while he does this?
He's like, that'll teach you.
That'll teach you to stop stealing my broccoli, sons of bitches. But see, that doesn't work. The green giant wants you to eat his broccoli. That's the whole thing.
He gets his rocks off. He's like, yeah, you eat that cabbage that I worked so hard to grow for you. Yeah, put those beans in your mouth.
What the fuck? So why is he punishing you then by lifting up your roof? And Buster, I don't know. I don't know if this one works. I don't know if it tracks.
It doesn't.
Okay.
And that's what the beauty of it. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Because the green giant's not real, Nick. Okay?
It's gorgeous. So that's the green giant at number 15. Cooking something that smells bad. Hey, I got one.
Okay.
Not picking up after your dog on a walk.
Ooh, that one is a pet peeve of mine. We have a neighbor who has a free-roaming dog, and I commonly go out and see dried dog shit in our front yard. And I'm like, hey, good to see you. Thanks, neighbor.
Yeah, do you ever say anything to him?
Nope.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I like them in general. I don't want to sour the neighborly relationship. But
So wait, this neighbor, he or she would consider you a friend, right? Or at least a good acquaintance?
yeah, acquaintance. We don't hang out with them per se, but we're friendly.
And that person says, oh, I like this friendly neighbor. Come on, dog, let's shit in their yard.
Their dog just kind of runs all over, and everybody knows it.
Oh, okay.
The dog's not discriminating. It's shitting on probably everybody's yard, not just mine.
Although it probably gets one of those red rockets when it shits on yours, though.
It takes an extra bit of spite and pleasure.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just drinking my morning coffee, looking out the window, and I see his big brown haunches as he's doubled over, just pooping in my front yard. I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah, you rascal, you.
One of these times you'll look out and see the green giant out there.
Yeah. Now, if he shits on your front yard, then you're going to have a real problem.
Yeah, how do you pick it up? I don't know. You need another green giant to come by. You need a blue giant to come by and pick it up. Hey, listen, I got to guess. What about something car related, like slow drivers or braking a lot or...
Surprisingly, no driving is in here.
That doesn't sound right.
I know. So, I'll give you some hints. You got two things people experience when they're in bed with someone, and I'm not talking sexually. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
The rest of the list after that is interpersonal etiquette. The things that people do that might be rude or inconsiderate when talking about human interaction.
I think you said the bed. So what about like hogging the covers?
The bed mate takes the blankets is number 7.
Right behind messy or unflushed toilet. I don't know. I think unflushed toilet is way up compared to that.
I do too. This doesn't bother me.
I mean, it's annoying every once in a while, but it's not like a constant struggle for me.
If my wife is listening to this on her morning commute sometime in the future, I will say it right here on the air. She gaslights me back and forth, to and fro. She says that I'm the one who takes the sheets and the bed covers too much, but I would say the opposite. It doesn't bother me that much. I'm not annoyed by it, but my wife is always
Sounds like
pulling
you're
and
annoyed by it.
grunting and asking for the blankets back, and I'm like...
Women, am I right? But let's be real, no one's wife is listening to this show.
Well, if they did, they'd no longer be their wife, because they'd divorce them for bad taste.
Bad taste, yeah.
You listen to Tennis Podcast? I thought I knew you.
Yeah.
We're done. We're over.
Yeah. And on your way out, take out that trash.
Take the trash with you.
Did you say there's 2 bed things in here?
Yes, there's one other thing that bedmates can do that would annoy you.
Don't make the bed in the morning?
No, good guess, but not on here. I'm guilty of this. This is something I do, unfortunately.
Well, going back to the hogging the blanket thing, I think given that you try to take this podcast over every time you're on it, I could see that you try to take the blanket over every time you're in bed. You don't even realize you're doing it. So I'm on your wife's side on that one. But going back to the bed thing that you are guilty of, in addition, how about leaving a light on at night to read when your partner's trying to sleep?
That's a good guess, but not here. Not on the list.
All right. Help me out. Point me in the right direction.
Something they would do that would wake you up.
Snoring, of course. Snoring.
Ooh.
Got to be in the top 4.
How is snoring not on the top 20 now that you bring it up? It's not here.
Oh,
it's not snoring.
Wow.
Snoring is a pretty high pet peeve of mine.
Is it talking in your sleep?
Sleep talking, good guess. I'll go ahead and give it to you.
Okay.
It's when your bedmate moves too much. A fidgety sleeper.
Oh, okay. Sure, that's me. I'm guilty of that.
Yes, I toss and turn all night long to my wife's chagrin.
This show is really just all the things you do to piss off your wife.
We would need a lot longer than one episode for that.
Yeah, we'll make this a 8-parter.
She'll be episodes 220 through 230, and all of those will just be things that Buster does that rightfully piss her off.
And then 230 through 248 will be things that piss me off. And then 248 through 270 will be things that piss Alex off. No, we'll just keep it going. That'll be just the new show.
I love it.
It'll be, instead of 10-ish, it'll be Buster-ish.
Well, each episode is 10-ish things that I do.
Yep, that's better.
Yeah.
What number is restlessness in bed?
That'd be number 12.
I do that one, definitely. And I get the nudge every once in a while for...
The nudge.
Stop moving.
All right, we missed one, I will say. It has to deal with the mouth. It is etiquette with your mouth. It's not a conversation or anything. It is something about cleanliness.
Not brushing your teeth? Bad breath?
Ooh, bad breath. Good guess. Not on here.
Something stuck in your teeth?
Something a lot of people changed personally in 2020, I bet.
With their mouth?
Mm-hmm. Something we all became more aware of because of COVID.
Sharing drinks? Sharing food?
When they're coughing or they're sneezing, what don't they do?
They don't cover their mouth when they cough or sneeze.
Exactly. Number 14.
That is a huge pet peeve. Yes.
Number 14. Not covering their mouth when they sneeze or cough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one I think people started to pay a lot more attention to since the pandemic.
I mean, maybe, but there's also people that continue not to do it out of spite because they think the pandemic's bullshit.
Yep.
But anyway.
Maybe they walk over and cough on someone and say, yeah, legalize freedom, you son bitch.
Yep. God. Where was I just recently? I want to say a movie theater or something. Yeah, it was. Where there was someone behind me and they were just hacking up a lung. Like, I could feel the air behind me on the back of my head. So.
At some point, don't you just excuse yourself?
Polite, considerate people do. But we've already established that people are the worst.
I don't remember where I was, but I was in a huge hall. It was some type of talk that I was going to, maybe for work. I'll always remember this because I couldn't stop laughing once it began. This older lady in the back had this real hacky cough that started.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, she's going to leave the room because she's got a tickle in her throat. She never left. The lady in the back the whole time was just like... And I just thought, for the love of all of our sanity, like, we can't pay attention to this speaker. Go in the hallway.
Yeah.
She eventually, after, without exaggeration, I probably would say 2 full minutes of coughing, excuses herself, and you can hear her coughing as she's walking all the way down the hallway to get a drink. And it was so bad that, like, I'm looking left and right at people in the crowd, and I'm making eyes at them like, can you believe this shit?
And they're doing it back to you, right?
And then we all had sex afterwards.
Right, and then you shit on their grandmas. But what I was going to say is maybe she wasn't coughing so much as maybe she was trying to speak in a new language. Because it was like an ongoing... You hummed at me as if it's like a real possibility.
She was having a spiritual revelation, and all of us sheep amongst the crowd were too stupid to interpret this message that she was bringing to us.
Yes. God works in mysterious ways. And I only say that because it was a sustained cough. It was ongoing. She was trying to communicate. God was speaking through her to get to the room, and you're all too busy in your sinful, prideful ways to pay attention.
Some purveyors of knowledge are too early for their time, and their messages fall on deaf ears because people can't even fathom what is being said. That's what was happening in that room on that very day.
Purveyor of knowledge, you're right. How about not washing your hands before you eat? Or, I guess this is probably too specific to be on here, but I'm thinking, like, I've been in a bathroom before at a restaurant and seen, like, a kitchen staff not wash their hands after leaving a stall.
Kitchen staff?
Yeah, kitchen staff.
I'd be like, check, please.
Yeah.
We're going.
Pretty sure.
I'll pay the bill.
Yeah.
Don't care, but we're not eating here.
Yeah. So that's not on there.
It is not. No. The majority of everything on here, except for number 1, are all social faux pas. Things that people would do that's interpersonal and inconsiderate.
Okay.
These are things that people would do to you conversationally.
Conversationally. They interrupt you a lot.
Interruption. So being interrupted by someone
interruption.
is number...
Have you thought about that?
Is number 9
number is
on the
that?
list.
That interruption one.
If anyone wants to...
I've thought about what number the interruption one was,
if anybody
I couldn't
wants
hear
a case
because you kept
study
talking.
in interruption, all they got to do is listen to literally every single episode when your warm-hearted, kind, caring, compassionate sidekick hosts are trying to get through an anecdote, and you just interrupt them to make fun of them and beat them down.
To make fun of them? I want you to name a single good-hearted, compassionate sidekick host. I don't think we've had one on this show before.
All of them.
Yeah.
Every single one. I like them all. They're all in my will, actually. Not you, if that's what the question you're about to ask. But the rest of them
Put
are
them
in my
all
will.
in your will.
Every time you feature a new Sidekick host, I add another line to my will to put them in it.
It's a lot of legal fees, but
it's worth it because that's how much I support this show and them.
But not me.
No.
I'm not in your will. Okay. Got it. You are in my grandma's will, but I haven't figured out why. Might be some weird relationship there I haven't heard of. Go ahead.
Recently, I've noticed people who happen to be from a certain generation that might perchance be coming into retirement age very often seem to do this.
Hot take.
They'll ask me a question. I'm doing the answers some justice. I'm telling a story. And I'm in the middle of saying something, and they'll just ask me something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've become so bored with my explanation, they just, hey, I want it next, don't care.
I can relate, but yeah.
I mean, people will literally ask me, like, how was work last week? And I'll start telling them, and they'll say, oh, we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm literally talking. What?
There was someone at a job once that we all used to talk about how she would ask you how it's going and like really earnestly, like, how's it been? What's going on? And as soon as you start to answer, her eyes go off behind you. She's not like... And
she's like,
she's not listening.
What will I have for lunch?
Yeah, exactly. That's very rude, Buster. I agree. Is that on here? Like not paying attention?
Being rude? I would say, based on a lot of things we're about to go through, being rude would be delineated into some of these other things. Because I think many of the things on the list left here are being rude.
Now, this is a stupid one, but I could see it being on here. How about like cursing or cursing too much? Or
no cursing, no potty mouth.
Because that's definitely my parents' pet peeve when they see a rated R movie. We had to turn it off, Nick. There was too much language.
Yes. It's my pet peeve when people have that pet
yeah,
peeve.
Me too. I hate that shit.
They're like, oh, I would have watched Breaking Bad, but the F-bombs were flying and I just couldn't make it through an episode.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how those people are amongst us in the world, but This is the world we live in. Whatever. Anyway.
It reminds me of the episode when I think Kramer's coming off of dental medicine, medication. He's like, and I let the expletives fly.
That's when he has the, he has like the fat lip and he's like slobbering over
himself. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. That's the Jimmy episode, by the way. Shout out to a recent Tennis Pod Plus exclusive bonus episode I did with Calvin, my guest, on the top 10 best Seinfeld episodes ever, according to IMDb. Anyway, how about...
self-promotion isn't on the list, but...
Yeah, I was about to say, how about
annoying.
Shameless plugs? They are annoying, aren't they? How about spitting when they talk?
Oh, nope, not on the list. Good one, though. You ever proven a point to someone, and they know they're wrong?
Rub it in?
But then they still keep arguing with you.
Okay, yeah. How do you...
They've already been proven wrong. It's already been put to bed, and they'll just keep rehashing it.
Yes. What is that called?
That's number 20. Arguing after being proven wrong.
That's a good one.
They just can't let it go.
Just like Brandon with the hot dog. Every listener knows.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, some people are so focused on winning an argument. I call this like the Republican thing. The Donald Trump thing. Like you're more concerned with winning the argument and winning than you are about like what you're even arguing about. You know what I mean? Like it's about having the last word.
Yeah, you want to be vindicated. You just want the other person to say, you know what, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, oh, did I hurt your feelings? Was I wrong? Did I have inaccurate information?
That's an annoying one.
Yeah, well.
How about I'm trying to do a podcast and talk to my various sidekick hosts, and Buster's mom won't stop calling me. My phone's blowing up.
Okay.
Okay, how about people using mom jokes like 20 years past their expiration date?
I would be surprised you may say that as a pet peeve and not something you really enjoy. You like the affirmation.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish she texted me that often.
How about people that can't stop talking about themselves?
No, but I'm going to go ahead and give you this one. We've danced around it a little bit, and it's kind of close related to that, and that's being ignored. Number 19, being ignored.
I don't know what that's like. I usually have the full attention of everyone.
Well, it's just because you just talk over everyone and grandstand, and you think everyone's just waiting with bated breath over every word you have to share with the world.
Aren't they?
No one would ignore you.
Yeah.
You're the host of Tennis
I
Pod.
just can't relate. Yeah, I really can't. Sorry.
So I want to recap, run through the top 20 here, just so you know what we've done and what we have remaining. You've got 20 arguing after being wrong, 19 being ignored. You lack 18. You lack a lot of things, but you also lack guessing number 18, number 17. 16 is chewing with your mouth open. 15, cooking smelly broccoli toots from the Green Giant. 14, not covering your mouth when you sneeze or cough. 13, taking food without permission. 12, your bedmate moves too much. 11 is remaining. 10, talking too loudly on the phone. 9, being interrupted. 8 is left. 7, bedmate takes the blankets. 6, messy shit-spackled toilets or they don't flush. 5, not taking the trash out. And the top 4 remain.
Would you go on a podcast with everyone you've hooked up with?
I told you I just wasn't that into you. Then you call me a hit it and quit it girl.
I'm Billy Presida, host of the Man Whore podcast. And in 2014, I started interviewing my exes about why we didn't work out.
Don't get offended. You were not the best sub. You were bad at it.
I have more than 6 episodes, I swear.
We had an argument about what bukkake meant. That is the weirdest. Do you remember that?
I also get into it with a slew of comedians, porn stars, sex educators, coaches, actors, musicians, and more.
So every time someone posts Black Lives Matter now, I'm like, but are you doing the work? Have you eaten my pussy?
Tune in for more on romance, kink, queerness, heartbreak, hookups, and finding the one. Or the ones. Or the one for tonight.
And I'm like a size queen, so I'm just like big, and I'm like, okay, so what's up?
Subscribe to the Man Whore podcast wherever you listen to audio. And stay slutty.
I'm Richard Serrett. Join me on Strange Planet for in-depth conversations with the world's top paranormal investigators, alien abductees, Bigfoot trackers, monster hunters, time travelers, and more.
The handler one day told her this whole thing about how they've been terraforming on Mars and they're building a colony and they're recruiting specific people of specific bloodlines and specific talents and skill sets to go onto the planet.
On Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, we're redefining reality. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you ever wondered why we call French fries French fries? Or why something is the greatest thing since sliced bread? There are answers to those questions. Everything Everywhere Daily is a podcast for curious people who want to learn more about the world around them. Every day, you'll learn something new about things you never knew you didn't know. Subjects include history, science, geography, mathematics, and culture. If you're a curious person and want to learn more about the world you live in, just subscribe to Everything Everywhere Daily wherever you cast your pod.
What about when someone's talking to you and they're just looking at their phone?
Oh.
That's one of Buster's pet peeves. We all do it. We all do it sometimes.
Yeah, but I've gotten much better at it, and I'm much more mindful of it. And if I do it, I'm like, and I'm looking up at them, and I'm kind of apologizing with my eyes, like, hey, I just need to send this one thing really fast, and I'll be right back with you. But some people will be like, oh, yeah, good to see you. And then they just look down at their phone the whole time while you're there with them.
Yeah.
Oh, not here on the top 20, but that isn't an annoying
Is there anything involving phones?
No.
That we haven't, okay.
Here's one that's somewhat related. You're on a sidewalk, you're walking down, your phone beeps, you pick it up, look at it, and because you're not good at multitasking, you stop right where you are.
Holding up foot traffic?
Yeah, so number 17 is stopping in a hallway or walkway and standing there.
That does suck.
Now, that one's not a big deal to me. I wouldn't get annoyed by that so much.
You wouldn't get annoyed if you're walking, maybe you're in a hurry, maybe you're not, but you're trying to get somewhere and someone just stops in front of you and then you have to like readjust. Like, it's not the end of the world, you're right. But is it annoying? Yes.
I love when folks who may or may not happen to be older are in public looking at their phone and they're like holding it at a certain special 15 to 25 degree angle and the glasses are coming on and off and on and off and they might be removing a hat or like brushing the hair back and they're standing right in the middle of where everybody is.
Yeah, that'd be my dad. You might have seen a person doing that and it's my dad. Everyone listening.
It makes me laugh. It's not necessarily a pet peeve of mine.
Right.
It's more endearing to me.
You have a very special relationship with older people, we know. How about like littering or not picking up after
Littering?
yourself?
No, nothing like that. Nick, sometimes your sidekick host will bring you something they really care about, and you just shit on it.
Wait, are we back to the grandma?
You tell them that's dumb, or
I don't think I've ever said that. But so this would be like devaluing someone's opinion or something like that?
And they tell you, Nick, I'm upset. I really care about this. But you just don't take them seriously.
I've never heard that from a sidekick host. And I don't take any of my sidekick hosts seriously. So that's true.
Number 18, not taken seriously when upset.
I don't know if that belongs on here over like snoring, but okay.
I know, right? Well, a lot of people just want to be heard, you know?
Yeah.
And they feel like their partner or their friends don't care.
Those millennials.
I think it gets under people's skin.
It's all about their emotions. Fucking pathetic snowflakes. Am I right, everyone? All right.
Number 11. I bet you're not a fan of number 11.
Number 11, I'm not a fan of. Give me a hint.
This happens when people are either very comfortable with you or you're in a crowded space.
Talking too close to you?
People who invade your personal
space. Yes, sir.
Space.
Might be my number 1.
Invasion of personal space, number 11. This one doesn't bug me either. Not one that really gets under my skin.
So you're talking to, let's say, one of these old people that you're recruiting after targeting them for a long time. And they just get right up in your face to where your noses are almost touching and they're like breathing their conversation into your face. That doesn't bother you?
Maybe people are unnerved by me, or I smell bad, or they don't like me enough, but I don't think people get that close to me.
I think too, like on an airplane, I've vented about this on the show before. Like if I'm on an airplane, I'm immediately just, my personal space is invaded. You can't not invade my personal space on an airplane. It's too tight in there. Same with like a crowded subway in New York or something like that. I don't like being in a crowd like that where like people are on me, right? Strangers or people I know.
I was sitting next to my wife on the flight outbound to our trip recently, and we were waiting to get off the plane. Everyone's deplaning.
The worst.
And this middle-aged lady gets up, drops her like snack or water or something, and bends over.
Oh, baby.
And I mean full ass right in my face. And I just like had to turn to my wife because I was, it like literally was 6 inches from my face.
Well, in her defense,
I just thought,
go ahead.
Well, you can bend at the knee.
Not if you're an old haggerty bitch that has knees that are arthritic. I mean, like, you're right. Like, you can probably do something to change that, but I don't blame the old lady. I blame the fucking airplane manufacturers because there's only so much you can do. Can you imagine being a flight attendant? We probably have some listening, but I always feel bad for them because they have to work and operate in that little tiny aisle, and every time they walk through it, they're touching people with their body just because it's so tight in there. It's a really personal space constantly being invaded. So that is a huge pet peeve. I'm with it on this one.
Now, what I have to wonder is, did that lady drop her bag of snacks on purpose? She's like, oops. Just got to bend down, get these snacks here in the aisle of this plane while everyone's trying to get off so I can...
She was probably hoping it would turn into like one of those, you know, like where the stepmom is getting something out of the dryer. Which is so stupid, but that's what she was hoping.
It turns into an airplane themed porn where they're like having sex in the cockpit and in the lavatories, the bathroom.
Why not? Maybe not the bathroom. Depends how clean it is in there.
Yeah. Oh, you know, speaking of, people who like brag about being in the Mile High Club and having sex on an airplane.
It's disgusting to me.
Never have I desired.
Yeah.
There's not one attractive thing to me about being squeezed into a shoebox with someone and trying to have sex and thinking about the person who just got done blowing that up. And by the way, no water interference. The thing is just moved by forced air down into a pool, like a pod that's just below where you're standing. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to do that and brag about it to my friends. Like, come on.
I'm only laughing because I would 100% agree. I have never desired that. But, hey.
Hey, more power to them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
To each their own.
We're just speaking to our own opinions here. But I would love to have an opinion on number 8. Please give me a hint.
It rhymes with 8.
Hate? Gate?
You're going to get very annoyed when I give you this hint.
Bait? Late. People are late to things.
People are late. What anecdote do you think I might use that's going to annoy and frustrate you?
You like to pretend that I'm late to things even though I'm not?
Amongst Nick and I's friend group growing up, it became quite the notorious personal characteristic of Sir Nick here that he might be late. And it even got so much so we might tell him that we were going to be somewhere 15 minutes early just so he might arrive on time. Now, if you're going to say fake news, why don't we go back to that recent bonus episode we recorded where you admitted it was super difficult for you to ever arrive to work on time.
Listen, I don't like to rehash things that are dead and buried. Let's just move on. But everyone should know that, you know what? If this is my reputation in high school, I guess I'd take that over. Give your mostly eaten plates to Buster. He'll suck them all down.
Like I said, to each their own.
But we've grown since then.
All right, you've got the top 4 remaining.
Man, we've really run the gamut. Is there any more annoying things people do?
There is. We know a mutual acquaintance that is a very high flyer offender of number 4.
Bragging?
Okay.
Attention seeking?
By doing what?
Lying.
You got it. People who act hurt, sad, or they lie to garner attention. I put down this might be my number 1 on the list.
It's up there.
If I start to suspect that someone in my vicinity is lying, telling tall tales for attention, or just saying things that aren't true just to get a rise out of people, something about that really...
Like you just now with me being late. That was a lie to get a rise out of people, but yeah, I agree.
The lack of sincerity, something about that really gets underneath my skin. And some people always want to be that, they have that story. And no matter what, they'll top you, they'll say the story, and you think you either live the most interesting life, full of the craziest nuanced accidents, or 80% of what you tell me is bullshit.
And like an extreme example, like really extreme, is that case in Mommy Dead and Dearest. That's the name of the HBO documentary. It's a... God, what's her name? But it's the mom that makes her daughter think she's sick and ill and injured her whole life and has all these cancers and things like that. And it's not true because the mom wants the attention, which I think is like a clinical thing. But
is it Munchausen's by proxy?
Yeah, that sounds right. Man, you should maybe get into psychology, Buster. Seem to
Yeah,
know
I've thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, number 3. I don't know, I would say you do this, but some people out there might say you do this with this show. And, you know, who's the originator, the true host of the Tennis podcast? Yeah, so...
That's the hint?
Well, it's the hint, yeah, for what number 3 is.
Taking credit for things you didn't do?
Whoa, guilty conscience? How did you happen to just guess that out of thin air based on my very subtle hint?
Well, based on number 4, where you were just talking about how you get to know someone is a bullshitter, I get to know the way your stupid little brain thinks. I knew what you were getting at. So you are trying to insinuate that I will take credit for Tennis Podcast. Is that what it's called, taking credit?
People copy your idea and take credit for it. Now, unless I'm mistaken, I don't know that this has ever happened to me.
I don't think this comes up a lot.
But it's number 3.
I mean, I think in the workplace, this happens sometimes, like in corporate settings, you know, like someone steals your idea and goes to the boss with it or something. But maybe I'm just lucky. That hasn't really come up for me a lot. Maybe I just don't have any good ideas worth copying.
Well, there's that. People who were surveyed for this list are fallible human beings. What if they really didn't have the idea, or they didn't tell anybody about it, or they told someone the idea and they were only 50% there and the person actually finished it and took it to the goal line, and then in their own office they're like, oh my god, they stole my idea and they took credit for it when they really didn't because they actually hadn't that original idea? I wonder if some of that's going on.
Maybe so.
I don't know.
It's a lot of People assume the worst of others and assume the best of themselves.
Ooh, well said.
Yeah. Get it tattooed, people.
I might get that tattooed across my ass.
You have to move all the other ass tattoos.
On one cheek, people assume the worst of others, and then on the other cheek, and they assume the best of themselves.
And everyone assumes the best of that booty, too.
Oh, yeah. You got
Okay.
the top two. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn here.
Please don't.
But I protected the top two. We got them left. Your ass often spoils the list right away, like you recently did with the most walkable cities. You guessed number one on accident near the beginning of the episode. Embarrassing.
Well, that's because some of us are so good at guessing top 10 lists that we just can't help ourselves.
You do it incorrectly. Right.
Okay.
Because you say like, oh, number 8, and it's number 5, and you say, knew it.
I don't know. Is that a pet peeve that I am so good at guessing lists and you're not, and it really gets on your nerves? Maybe you're envious. Is being a pet peeve their sidekick host being envious of them and jealous? That's my guess for number
good
one.
guess. But I've been doing a lot of what recently?
I don't know, shitting?
This episode.
Oh, talking? People talk too much.
I've just been going on and on about things I've been complaining.
Yes,
Which
complaining.
is number 2.
Okay.
Complaining, especially of in an excessive frequency, recursive, so they complain about the same thing over and over and over again, or petty things that should not be complained about is number 2.
So here's the thing about complaining. Yes, there is a line that you can cross to where you are overly complaining, right? I wouldn't know anything about it. But I think people tend to notice when others are complaining, but not notice when they themselves are complaining a lot.
I agree with that.
It's a perception thing. It's like, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like...
But the more mindful you...
Yeah.
Right. But I think the more mindful you can be, to relate back to the point I made at the top of the episode, you can get better at reading the room and seeing if you're just airing out this bullshit for 10 minutes and everyone's done with it, or if it's a true thing that, you know, you want to complain about. And I think an easy shortcut to avoid this is to make your complaints short, and people can always ask follow-up questions.
Right.
But when I'm around my extended family, they all just take turns complaining about life. And I'm like, can we talk about anything else?
That's what I was going to say. I don't care about how your job sucks or someone at your work. Like, you know, I don't know these people. It doesn't matter to me. Let's talk about something. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But to be fair, your family's life does suck.
Because they have to put up with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many folks' fallback conversation is just complaining about the inconveniences of life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're watching Seinfeld, that's funny. It's entertaining. But when it's your cousin and they're annoying, it's not entertaining. And you're like, I'd rather be anywhere else on the planet right now.
Yeah. Except maybe an airplane bathroom, we've learned. Probably wouldn't want to be there.
I might rather eat brunch off an airplane toilet than listen to some of my family members complain.
Damn. You were dropping hot takes left and right today. Eating brunch, first of all, on an airplane toilet. All right, so I'm really curious what the number one pet peeve here is, because it's got to be big to be more annoying than all this shit.
I actually don't think it's that bad, but I do think it's because I've not experienced it much in my life, but I think other people have.
Having friends?
It happens a lot when you either work in a big office or you live with other people.
Just tell me.
It's a toned down version of the bathroom anecdotes we talked about.
Not cleaning up after yourself?
Yep. Leaving commonly used spaces messy.
That's a huge pet peeve.
When people are messy and don't clean up after themselves is number 1, numero uno.
That's what I was saying earlier about like the sink getting piled up or laundry or trash. Same principle there. I like my things to be organized and tidy. And when you just leave your shit in a space that other people are also using, it's extremely inconsiderate.
See, I think it's one step further than that. It's what most people experience. I think they experience their roommates sit down for some Wendy's, and then they eat the Wendy's, and then they leave and go do something. And like the wrapper's still there, the bag is out, the used napkin's sitting on the table, the drink cup is still there. Like it's all still out.
And if that's your own space, fine, but you're sharing this space with someone else who now has to either live around it or pick it up for you. To me, those are people that just had their mom or a maid or something pick up after them their whole life. And so, sorry.
Or some people are just messy. They don't live that cleanly.
Yeah. Not in my house. We don't do that shit here. I run a tight ship.
We don't do that here.
Yeah.
Nick runs a tight ship. I once toured a house when we were house hunting, and the people didn't bother picking up their house when we came in to look at it and browse, and it was filthy. I mean, just like the counters were covered with crap that easily could just go right into a trash can.
That's a good way to not sell your home.
We walked right out. We didn't stay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an interesting reminder to me that many folks live like that, and it's easy to forget. There are a lot of people who are comfortable with that, and they live in that condition, and they just get used to it.
Yeah, and I don't mean to come off like an asshole, but like I always have been, even since I was a little kid, just extremely particular about my space. I want it to be clean. I want it to be tidy. I want it to be organized. And I know not everyone's like that, but I'm like that, so it is my pet peeve.
Wow.
So there you go.
Do you want to alienate any more of our listeners out there with your rants from your high horse pedestal of cleanliness?
Okay, do we need to go back to the Segway thing we talked about at the beginning? There was nothing more high horse I've heard in like the last 2 years than that. But I got to say, I think between all 20 of these pet peeves, including ones that we talked about that weren't even on the list, I think we've alienated pretty much 100% of the world right now. So someone listening is doing these things.
We also both said we are guilty of doing multiple of these things ourselves.
Yep.
We all do pet peeves. You know, I mentioned none of us are perfect. So listener, if you're thinking about trying to print off a picture of my face and start throwing darts at it in between episodes of Tennis Pod, please forgive me. I'm not coming down on anyone because I do these things too myself. It's just, it can be fun and funny to talk about the pet peeves of other people.
It can be. Unfortunately, it wasn't today. And also to the listeners, if you do need tips or advice or best practices on how to print out Buster's face for dart throwing, let me know. I've done a lot of testing on that. I have a lot of good angles, printing resolutions, things like that that should help you get the most out of it. Just let me know. Hit me up at the Nookamil on Twitter and Instagram. Buster, take us back through the top 20.
Okay, top 20. Here we go, folks. 20 arguing after being wrong, 19 being ignored, 18 not taken seriously, 17 stopping in a walkway, 16 chewing with your mouth open, 15 cooking smelly food, 14 not covering your mouth when you are sneezing or coughing, 13 taking someone else's food without asking, 12 your bedmate moves all the time and not in a pleasurable way, 11 invasion of personal space, 10 talking loudly on the phone, 9 being interrupted, 8 being late, 7 bedmate takes all the blankets, 6 messy or unflushed toilet, 5 not taking out the trash, 4 lying for attention, 3 people copying your idea taking credit, 2 complaining, and number 1 leaving common spaces messy.
So what's your, Buster, personal top 3 on this list? Your personal top 3 pet peeves.
Let's see. Number 1, pretending to be hurt, sad, or lying for attention. Oh, that's easy number 1 for me. Number 2, messy or unflushed toilet drives me nuts. And I'm kind of torn between being interrupted or complaining, but I think just like the bold face interruption while someone else is talking. Number 3 for me.
Okay, and listeners, we would love to hear you complain and interrupt nonstop while you tell us your biggest pet peeves. Let us know. Hit me up on social at TennishPod on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And by the way, while on the topic of TikTok, I want to remind folks that if you want to see video of me and my sidekick host talking every week, you can follow us on TikTok, and I post videos every week there for that very purpose.
Well, they're going to come for the sidekick host, but they're going to endure having to watch you.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to join Buster's will, which apparently is just open invitation, let them know.
I really should just put a clause in that says any featured sidekick host of the Tennis Pod, and I wouldn't have to keep paying lawyer fees.
Yeah, there you go. They'd have to be featured, though. I don't know if that's happening.
Work smarter, not harder.
Or work Buster. Work Buster, not harder. Buster, I hardly know her.
I've been trying to use that joke lately, and it's working.
It is working. Which one? The Buster?
It is.
Hardly know her?
It's like someone will say a strange word, and I'll say, blank her, I barely know her.
That one usually does well, I agree. Speaking of doing well, hopefully we can do that someday on this podcast. I don't think today was it, though. Buster, thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing the list.
You got to stop inviting me on then.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're wanting ratings to go up, if you want people to like it, enjoy it, subscribe, be Tinish Pod Plus members, you really got to stop inviting me back.
Yeah. I just have a shortage of sidekick hosts, quality sidekick hosts. They all suck. Everyone I've ever had on the show is terrible. But someday we'll get a good one. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating us and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Good Pods. Buster, is there anything else you'd like to say to the fine folks at home?
Nope.
That's great. Okay. Thanks. And I'll see you next week for episode number 215. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Do you know someone who has never listened to a podcast?
It might sound bananas to you and me, but those people are out there.
If we want the podcast industry to grow, we need more listeners.
That's why this April, Tink Media is launching Adopt a Listener Month.
We're asking you to find someone who says,
podcasts are my thing,
and give them a thoughtful recommendation to change their mind, something that will get them hooked.
Go to tinkmedia.co/adopt to sign up, find resources, and learn how you can get involved.
I'm Richard Serrett. Join me on Strange Planet for in-depth conversations with the world's top paranormal investigators, alien abductees, Bigfoot trackers, monster hunters, time travelers, and more.
The handler one day told her this whole thing about how they've been terraforming on Mars and they're building a colony and they're recruiting specific people of specific bloodlines and specific talents and skill sets to go onto the planet.
On Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, we're redefining reality. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.